Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So, yeah, so it is 1:59. So let me just wait for the clock to turn to 2. Yeah, so let's start today's class. So, yeah, so we will start and let us continue on the discussion on EM. Okay. So in the last class, we were discussing Gaussian mixture models, right? So recap. So what we did was we discussed Gaussian mixture models, right? So that is what we were discussing in the last class. So the idea is your density is coming from several underlying mixtures. So all of which are Gaussian. So the net density will look something like this. And we said that fx of x is equal to pi1 of f1 of x plus pi2 of f2 of x. Okay. And this x is governed by the mean is mu1, variance is sigma 1 squared, and this is mu2, this variance is sigma 2 squared. So this is what we saw. And then so these are the parameters that are unknown. We need to learn like pi's, we need to learn mu's, and we need to learn sigma. And collectively, that is called as theta. So the vectors pi, I will write this only for this time, but you understand that it is there are multiple parameters here, mu and sigma squared. Okay, sorry. So these are the three parameters that we need to learn. Okay. Then for some inconceivable reason that you must have felt that time, we made it a digression to k-means, right? So if we were to recollect k-means, so what we saw is the purpose is we need to find out k clusters. Okay, so input was some k. For example, it could be 2 or 3, so on. These are all the inputs. Then what we also have is the data points, which are called as xi, I equal to 1 to n. Okay, and we are supposed to find out centroids and cluster assignments. Okay, so what we said is, okay, let us initialize randomly. So let us initialize mu0 and so mu0 is actually mu1 and mu2 0. Okay, so these are the random cluster centers. And I said we will also do random initialization of xij0. Okay, so xij0, so j takes, okay, j is equal to 1 or 2. Okay, and I is equal to 1 to n. So this represents whether ith point, whether it is in j cluster, j equal to 1 cluster or j equal to 2 cluster. So these two steps we initialize randomly, and then we had a loop till convergence, right? This we said. Okay, so this probably we had some lot of discussion on it. I hope it is clear now. We keep the loop variable starting from 0, 1, 2, and as many as required till it converges. And then we had these following steps. We said zij of t plus 1. Okay, so we are going to update all the zij's for I going from 1 to n and j going from 1 to 2. Okay, this is equal to 1. Okay, if j is equal to the minimum distance, j is the minimum distance to the jth cluster. Okay, the xi point is in the minimum distance to the jth cluster. So k 1 or 2. Okay, so this can be more, but there can be more than 2 clusters, but this generalizes easily. So whichever is minimum, that one we set equal to 1. So this we do for repeat for all I and for all j. Okay, and then second step what we did is, now once we have this, then we find the cluster center in this manner. Okay, so we say that the cluster center is basically all the points that are assigned to a particular cluster. You find out what is the mean of that. Okay, so that is what we did. okay, ji going from 1 to n, xi, okay, divided by all the points that are assigned to that. It was zij, okay, I going from 1 to n. So this we do for all the j equal to 1, j equal to 2. In general, j could be multiple, many more. Okay, so this is what we saw as the k-means algorithm. And then we went back at that point to Gaussian mixture model, and then we looked at the likelihood. Okay, so an important point is that if you look at the likelihood of the data, okay, so if you look at this likelihood for that particular data that we have, okay, this, and if you look at the log likelihood, what we found was that you have summing for all the endpoints, the log terms comes, but inside you have this something like this, right? This we saw. So basically, in whenever we did MLE estimates in the past, we did not have, we only had sum of logs, but now we have log of sums. Okay, sum of log of sums. So this is what is a problem. So what we did is we actually nevertheless went ahead and with the example for Gaussian mixture model, we looked at a version of EM. So we just went ahead with that, and then ultimately, if you remember the discussion, I unfortunately due to lack of time, I cannot explain that fully, but I will just flash what we did for those of you who have attended and who want to see. So we basically had this, right? So we looked at the likelihood. We had something like this. We took its derivative, and then an intermediate term, we assigned a value equal to gamma ij. This is what we did. And then we derived how we should solve for MLE estimates, assuming gamma ij is fixed. So we did these computations. Okay, so that essentially what we did, and we said that is an EM algorithm. So let me just rewrite this here. So you have input k equal to 2 or 3, 4, etc. It depends on the problem. Then you have the same data samples xi, I going from 1 to n. Okay, and initialization, what we said is we initialize the parameters theta 0 randomly, which is equal to mu 0, sigma square 0, and pi 0. Okay, so this is a vector. So all of this we have initialized randomly. And then we have analogous to what we have here. We will again have the loop till convergence. Okay, t is equal to 0, 1, 2, so on. And then we have this step, gamma ij of t plus 1, the next estimate, the updated estimate. We said that this is equal to pi j of t. Okay. Okay, pi j of t, fj of xi. Okay, this xi, as you know, is governed by mu j of t and sigma j of t, sigma j squared of t. So this is what we took, and this divided by summation. Okay, your loop variable I said is r going from 1 to the number of clusters k. Okay, so I can say k if required, but anyway, so then that is pi k fr, okay, xi mu r t sigma squared r t. Okay, so this is what we did, and we said this is the E step. This was just a name at that time. So today, when we are going to generalize this EM algorithm for a more vaster range of problems, you will see why this is called as a E step. Okay, so there is a lot of way to go, and I will try to make it extremely clear to all of you. So why it is called E step and M step and so on. And likewise, we also had a cluster center estimates. So mu j of t plus 1 is actually equal to gamma ij, I going from 1 to n, xi, divided by summation gamma ij. Okay, and what estimate of gamma ij are we using? We just use the one that we computed in the previous step. Okay, and likewise, let me write rest of the things a little smaller so that we can fit everything in one screen. Mu j of t plus 1 is equal to gamma ij of t plus 1, okay, xi minus mu j, xi minus mu j that we previously computed, squared, yeah, so this one squared divided by summation gamma ij of t plus 1. Okay, so this is I equal to 1 to n, I equal to 1 to n. And then we have another one. So let me just put a box here to distinguish this. The third parameter that we updated was pi j of t plus 1. So this turned out to be summation gamma ij I equal to 1 to n, all these samples divided by n. So these are the steps we saw, and we said that this is m step. Okay, so now today's class, what we are going to do is we are going to generalize this from GMM to a general version of EM algorithm, and it is having a lot of applications in many other problems also. Okay, so this is an important algorithm, and today especially I want all of you to ask me questions whenever things are not clear. Okay, and even if it is clear, you can ask a few questions just to get more clarity. The idea is that if you spend time going through this in a textbook, what will happen is the concept, since textbook cannot write all the details, it is not possible to convey this algorithm clearly in the textbook. So if you have attempted to read it yourself from a textbook, the chances are that you wouldn't have understood it fully. Okay, so it's a difficult algorithm. So I want you to participate in the class a little more than usual. Okay, so anyway, so I in the general in these two steps, are there any confusion from last class? Are these two algorithms clear to people? For what are the two algorithms, the k-means and GMM version of the EM algorithm? Is this clear to everybody from last class? Any questions here? Okay, all right, Devansh. So okay, so let us now try to generalize this, and for generalizing, I want you to draw your attention to some particular features here. So in particular, I want you to compare this update rule, okay, with this update rule. Forget about the others for a moment, but if you look at these two update rules, what is the thing that is striking? Can someone comment on this?
Gamma ij is similar to like Zij.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Gamma ij is similar to Zij. All right. So basically, what was Zij here has transformed into gamma ij here. Okay. So that is the thing. What is the value gamma ij takes? Whoever can someone tell me what are all the possible values Zij can take?
1 or 0.
Yeah. So it is 0 or 1. Okay, what are the values gamma ij will take? Yeah, anybody?
Value between 0 and 1.
Yeah, it is a value. Yeah, it is a value between 0 and 1. Okay, so this is something gamma ij 0 and 1. Okay, so now I will ask you something else. So for a particular I, if I sum Zij j equal to 1 to k, the number of clusters, in which case in this particular example it is 2. What is this going to be?
1.
Okay, so can someone tell me why this is 1? Why?
Sir, because that particular point will lie only in one cluster.
Exactly, right? So
that
basically,
one.
Yeah. So what is Zij? Zij is telling whether ith point, does it lie in a jth cluster or not? Okay, and ith point can lie in one of the k clusters. Okay, so only one of them will be 1. Okay, so now similarly, if I were to ask you summation j equal to 1 to k gamma ij, if I ask you what is the value that this will be, this is equal to what?
1.
Okay, some only I see just a few people responding, but is this clear to everybody why this is 1? This is an important algorithm, guys. I want you to participate more. So please tell me if this is clear, why this is equal to 1.
Oh, no, sir.
So Viranch, thank you for responding. See, what is happening is gamma ij. Okay, if you look at j can take values 1 to the k clusters, right? So I mean there are k here, no j. As I said, the idea is that which of the values j is taking, j can be 1, 2, 3, so on. But gamma ij is pi j times fj. Okay, so let us write this. So gamma ij, if I write it simply, so it is pi j fj divided by summation pi k fk or fr, pi r fr. I'm not writing the full subscripts, but this is what it is, right? Viranch, do you follow this? This you follow why this is the case?
Yes, sir.
So now when I take sum over all possible j's, okay, j can take, what are the values j can take? It can take 1, it can take 2. If there are only 2 clusters, it stops here. In general, it can go up to k, where k is the input variable representing the number of clusters. Okay, so here that k and this k are same. So when I try to sum over gamma ij, what will happen, Viranch? The denominator is common across all the k's, right?
Yes, sir.
So basically gamma I1 plus gamma I2, assuming there are only 2 clusters, what I will have pi 1 f1 divided by pi 1 f1 plus pi 2 f2 plus pi 2 f2 divided by pi 1 f1 plus pi 2 f2. Okay, when I take the sum, Viranch, now you see why it becomes 1.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so there is a lot of similarity that is happening between Zij and gamma ij. The reason is Zij is what is called as hard assignment. Okay, what happens in k-means is that you choose Zij forcibly to be 1 if j is in the argmin. Okay, it doesn't try to compare what is the value difference. See, this distance could be, okay, so for example, in a particular case, so Z11 could be, the distance is 1. Okay, if the distance is just, the first distance is better than the second distance, but the distance could be close by. So the distance 1 could be 0.5, okay, and distance 2 could be 0.6. Okay, so it's not clear that 1 is the cluster for the point 1, right? Because the distances are closed, but we took one which is the minimum. Okay, that was because we did hard assignment. Okay, so now gamma ij is basically going to be soft assignment. Okay, and it is roughly like a probabilistic sense. So there is a soft assignment which is having all the probability sense. It has all the probability features. Okay. So is this clear to people? So hard assignment to soft assignment. Okay. So now okay, so that is the first point which I wanted to draw your attention to. Gamma ij is having this nature of soft assignment. Okay, so now we will see, the whole idea is we want to generalize this for a general model. So Gaussian mixture model is one particular example. Suppose if we want to generalize it for a different model, how does that happen? Okay, so that is what we want to do. So one thing that we saw is gamma ij is roughly looking like a probability. Okay, we will see whether or not that is true. But before that, we will also look at the E step and try to, the M step, and try to see what these things are, why this is happening. Okay, so let us take again small digression. Let us now try to assume. So for let us try to look at a digression. Okay, so look at full information model. Okay, so let me try to explain what is this. So this is a slight digression. So we look at the full information model. So suppose you had this population business I was telling, right? There is you want to measure the heights of people, and then there were two different kinds. Like if you look at one particular gender, suppose you look at only the men and ask their heights. So we said the whole idea was that you had some distribution like this, and then we want to estimate the mean, and this is the whole framework of Gaussian mixture model. And x size represents the height. Okay, x size represents the height. Now suppose if I also ask you which population do you belong to, and if I collect that also, okay, so I equal to 1 to n, this is called as a full information model. Okay, this is called okay, you will never have this, but suppose if this was collected, and if I ask you now how to do the parameter estimation, how do you do the mean and the variance estimation? Okay, so that is the discussion that we will have now. Okay, so let us try to look at the full information model and try to find out how do you find mean and variances. Okay, everybody knows what to do, but I want to draw your attention to the algebra of the steps that we are going to take. Okay, so now what I will do is every point Zi, I will transform this into a vector notation. Okay, so which will be 1 only if that point is coming from that particular cluster. Okay, so something like this. This is x1, this is x2, like this. So I'm treating my data for Z as a vector. See, you know this, all these steps, you know, I have done this before, but I'm just trying to make connections so that when we understand what has happened in the M step, you actually understand what is happening in a general algorithm. Okay, so that is why we are making this diagram. So now, if you look at the likelihood of the entire data, x comma okay, so this is the likelihood for a particular theta, right? So this is what we want to do. So if you look at this, this is going to be given by ln of product I equal to 1 to n, okay, p of xi, zi, whatever the theta parameter governs it. Okay, now each of the points can come from exactly one of the clusters, right? So this will be j equal to 1 to capital K. Okay, so then pi j will be the j term associated with that, but this will not be applied if zij is 0. Okay, so this will be only applied if zij is equal to 1, or in other words, the ith point belongs to the jth cluster. We have seen this in the multinomial MLE estimation, this kind of a notation. Okay, so this we have seen. So now this is pi j, and the other one will be f of xi given mu j sigma j. Okay, so is this okay? Is this step clear to everybody? What is happening here? Okay, let me pause here once to really see what's going on. Okay, so as I'm telling, as I repeated several times in this beginning of the lecture, this is an important class. Okay, and I want you to participate more, and I want you to understand every step that we are making. Okay, so right now I'm going and teaching something which is very, very easy, which you have already seen, but nevertheless, I want to make sure everybody understands. So is this clear? Nidish? Okay, so yes, Shir says the last part I have to explain. I will do that. Let me just check if anyone else has any questions. Okay, so yeah.
Sir, actually, even I have a doubt.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So the p, xi, zi, theta, how did you write it as pi, j, f? That's not necessarily between 0 and 1.
Sorry, which one? Can you repeat again, please?
So the probability, how did you write pi j f by replacing the probability?
No, this pi j is the probability that, so you are talking about probability xi zi, right? So probability of getting a particular xi zi. Okay, this is what you're asking. Okay, so now if I'm telling zi is happening with some, like it's coming from population 1, what is the probability of zi being 1? This is pi I, right? See, what is the base rule saying? It is P of Zi into P of Xi given Zi, right? This is what is base rule. Devyani?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is what Zi is equal to. What is the probability that Zi takes the value J is given by pi J, right?
Yes, sir.
And then this is Fj. But this term will be actually relevant only if Zij is 1. So that is why we have this. So this you have seen in multinomial also. I have done something like this, right? So if you remember in multinomial, the likelihood had something like Pi Pj to the power of Zij. If you remember in multinomial, I going from 1 to n and j going from 1 to k. So
Yes,
this
sir.
we had done. So this something similar to that I'm writing here. Have I answered your question?
So I was just wondering if there's a scaling factor there, because
Which scaling factor?
pi j f j by z, where z is summation of pi j f j for all j.
No, no. So this is a different model. Okay, so we are not now in the Gaussian mixture model. This is a full information model.
Yes,
So
okay.
I happen to know xi. I also know zi. Okay.
Okay. Yes,
So
sir.
this is a different model. That's why I said it was a digression. Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir. Then it's
So
clear.
this is a silly model. We have discussed this before. But see, if I am telling you I know the population, I don't have to treat these two Gaussians together. I can separate it out, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's all. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so now let's write this. Okay, so yeah, so there was some other question also. Shirsagar, have I made it clear?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. Okay, again, thanks Divyani for asking, because many people will have similar doubts. Because I'm making this change, suddenly they may not realize what's going on. But anyway, good point. So I equal to 1 to n. Okay. Then this is j equal to 1 to k. Okay. Zij ln this term. Okay, so this is what we have. And now if I try to do log likelihood estimation, okay, so if I continue along this path and if I try to set it to 0, okay, if I continue in this direction, I will tell you, you can check it later, but I will tell you what you will get. You will get mu j is equal to summation Zij xi, okay. So there will be double summation I equal to 1 to n, j equal to 1 to k by summation j equal to 1 to k Zij. Okay, so this is what you will get, and which is actually very, very similar to this step here. Okay, so I have, see, nobody has pointed out here. So sorry, here I made a mistake. So there is no question of summing over j, right? So this is what I meant is this. See, what you are going to do is you are only going to look at the points which are assigned to the jth cluster, and then with respect to that, you will look at where is the center. Okay, so that is what mu j will give you. Similarly, sigma j square again will be very similar. I equal to 1 to n Zij times xi minus mu j whole squared divided by summation j equal to 1 to n Zij. Okay. And finally, what is the third one? Pi j will look like j equal to 1. Sorry, I. This is all I equal to 1 to n. Okay, I equal to 1 to n. I equal to 1 to n. I equal to 1 to n of Zij divided by n. So this you will get, these steps you will get if you do the same, you know, d by dt ln. But you will get all of this in one shot. Okay, Zij is given to you. See, what is the difference in the full information and the Gaussian mixture model? Zij is one case is not given, in other case, okay, so that is what it is. So now what we are essentially doing is, instead of doing this directly, so let me just write, if it was instead of Gaussian, if it was a general model, what you would have had is something like this. So in general, so let me make that clarification over here. So what you are doing in general, for the full information model, okay? So for full information model, what you have is L of theta, okay? So it's not ln, L of theta is equal to, in general, you will have I equal to 1 to n, j equal to 1 to k, okay? This will be Zij ln. Here you will have P of xi Zi given theta. Is this clear to everybody what is happening here? This is the general notion. Okay, if for the full information, this is what you will have, and your theta MLE will be arc max of L of theta. So this is how we do. In general, if you had done similar procedure, you would have got this. Devyani, do you understand this step?
Yes, sir.
How about the others? See, I'm just trying to generalize from Gaussian mixture model to any kind of general model. So if we had full information for a general model, let us say we had different populations, but instead of Gaussian, we were mixing exponential distribution. Everything will be similar. The only thing that is different here is instead of Zij will be there, okay, but here the form will be different based on what you have. Okay, so that is why I'm saying in general it will be like this. Can I quickly check if everyone follows the steps so far?
Sir, in the last expression, Zij is still the vector, right? 1, 0, 0, 0.
So Zij is still the vector, okay, but this particular term, okay, so I'm trying to write with a pen, okay, so this particular term, okay, will be only valid when Zij equal to 1 for that particular j. So this, if this ith point is equal to j, then this will be 1, okay, but it is still, you can still think of Zi, yeah, discrete values. It's a discrete mixture. Okay, so this is a typical case which you will see in many problems. Okay, so discrete mixture of several types of things. So this will happen. Okay, so yeah, so let me see if people have any question. Okay, so these steps are clear. I don't see many more people responding. Only 3 people have said. So what is the issue? If someone points out, I can help, because when you ask questions, I can make things more clearer for you. Okay, so I'm, yeah, someone?
Yes, sir. So could you please explain what will be the difference in the general model?
So the difference in the general model is you have a mixture of not necessarily Gaussian distributions. You have mixture of, let's say, exponential distributions. Okay, so in the general model, you can have something like that. Okay, so everything will be same. Okay, you will have Zij, which cluster will be, that also will be there. Only thing is, instead of having the inner expression, why did we write like this in terms of Gaussian? Because this was Gaussian, and that's why we got Gaussian updates. But in general, you will have something else there. Nidish, does that make sense?
So, but in general case also, the time when we write P of xi zi given theta will be like P of zi into P of that. I mean,
yes, yeah. So this is okay. Yeah, this is okay. Yeah, this step is also okay for general. But when I take the derivative, I am essentially going to take derivative on. See, why did we get this updates? Because this was Gaussian. But in general, I may not have these 3 particular points. I may have something else. For example, in exponential, I will have a lambda. This still here, even for general, you will have similar behavior, but you will not have mu j, sigma j. You will have some other parameters. Is that what you're asking, Nidish?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. Okay, sir. Understood, sir.
Yeah. So basically, this is what we are doing. Okay. Now, so now if you see, gamma ij has essentially replaced the role of zij. Okay. So for a particular value of theta, if we were to treat zij as random, so let me just say, so let me write this here. If, okay, Nidish has, I have cleared Nidish's doubt, but if anyone else has any questions, please ask, okay? So we are going to make some significant steps here, all right? So now, if zij was replaced by gamma ij, okay, which is a probability, okay, what will we get? We will have the term, this one, we will call it as, so probability whose distribution is, we are going to call it as qz, okay? Probability whose distribution is qz, okay? So qz is essentially gamma ij's for all the values of j, okay? So suppose if we have this, then what we will say, this particular function is now a function of theta, right? So what did we do in log likelihood? So log likelihood is for different values of theta, there is some likelihood, okay? And it takes the maximum in theta star, theta MLE. This is what is log likelihood. So basically this is a function of theta, okay? This is a constant for a given value of theta, and the model, this is a constant, okay? What was changing was zij. This is a thing that changes based on data. Okay, so what I'm saying is, if you look at here, right, this fi pi j, even though it is the particular point I is not coming from the jth cluster, pi j will anyway be a constant. This whole thing is a constant, even though it doesn't belong. So the ith point does not belong to the jth cluster. This term still will be there, right? So does that make sense to people? So basically, see, I goes from 1 to n, j goes from 1 to k. So I will have z1, z2, z3. So this particular thing, okay, it is varying across all possible terms are considered. Okay, so it is not related. So this is not connected with zij. Okay, so this is a given. This is also a given. This is also fixed. Is that okay? So this zi is not the same as the zi that you see in your input data. Okay, so this is not input data. Okay, so basically then what you have is your likelihood is now going to be an expected likelihood. So this we call it as q capital Q of theta comma small q, which is expectation over qz log of t x z given theta. Okay, so let me just try to repeat the whole thing once again, because this is a significant step here. So let me just slowly explain. Okay, so let's come back again to the point that we all understand. Okay, so k-means has this structure and GMM has this structure. Okay, so the first thing that I said, if you observe the mean mu j, there is a relationship between zij and gamma ij. There is a very close similarity between the two. Gamma ij seems to be behaving like a probability. Okay, so now what we are trying to do is to try to generalize this for a general distribution. That is what we are trying to do. Okay, so now so for doing that, we went to a full generalization model. Okay, we said let us see what happens in a full general model where we both know xi and zi. Okay, there is a confusion because of this zi. So in this, when you talk about zi, this is the input. Okay, so this will be one if the sample that I am picking is coming from one of the population. So this is, let us say, population 1, and this sample comes from population 2. So this is what zi's are there in this context. Okay, so now what I did is this input I transformed into a vector input that we have discussed this when we did multinomial estimation MLE. We did this. Nothing so far, nothing great, nothing difficult has happened. All right, so now when we go from this step to this step, right? So here, this Zi is the input. Now that input can be one. It can be only one of the two populations. Either it can be one or it can be two. But since we want to write a general expression, what we do is we write, assuming for every j, we write the corresponding terms. We assume that as though it is there, and then we switch it on and off depending upon Zij. Is this clear to everybody? Why this particular thing is independent of Zi? Because this we are writing for every j. Yes. See, this particular term is written for every j being each cluster, we write this. Okay, and the way we disable particular terms is by having Zij, which is one only for the correct input, right? I don't know if this, yeah, so this point is where you will get confused. Okay, so this is where you have to be extremely cautious. So then from there onwards, everything is fine. So in general, we realize that if you want to generalize these steps outside, so basically here you have Zij we take, but this j, so let me just make it a little more clearer. Okay, so this is probability xi, but this Zi is equal to j. I'm saying this. This is the input as it is, but this is Zij equal to j. Okay, so this is what we are saying is the likelihood term. This is not the input data. Okay, this is where the input is actually factoring in. And then everything was straightforward. Okay, so basically what we did in the M step is that we looked at this parameter for a particular Q. Okay, what Q did we choose if you come back to our original algorithm, okay, if you see the steps that we have here, right? These steps, mu j is equal to gamma ij t plus 1 xi divided by this, right? This step is exactly same as this step. Gamma j square is also exactly same as here, where the role of Zij is replaced by gamma ij. Okay, so let me, I hope this is gamma, this is sigma. Okay, so basically what we observe is that in the full information, wherever the Zij terms were coming in, which was a hard assignment, that has been replaced by a gamma ij term. Okay, so essentially we have the same formula where Zij is replaced by gamma ij, or in other words, we have taken the expectation of the complete likelihood with respect to Qz. Why are we taking this expectation? Because we don't know which Z is actually being used, right? We don't know which Z is actually 1. So that is why we are taking this as an expectation over Qz. And then we had maximized it. So in general, if you want to write this EM algorithm, so what is the issue? So basically in general version of the EM algorithm, input is still there, k equal to 2 or 3 or so on. Okay, and what else? So you and your points xi's are given, I equal to 1 to n. Okay, so this is what is the general input. Okay, what we need to do is we need to produce output is some theta, which maximizes your which is like a likelihood, like it maximizes your probability of x given theta. So this is what we want to find. Okay, so this is what we desire. So this includes the mixing parameter mu j, sigma j, all those things will be there, and depending upon your input, it will have different values. So init theta 0 randomly. Okay, so what we then we have the repeat till convergence. E step I have not yet explained what we did. E step we will fill in the blanks still. Okay, but I told you what is M step. So what is M step? So M step is theta t plus 1, your next update is going to be argmax of theta of q theta q star. Okay, this is what it is, where q star is that gamma ij terms. Okay, so this is what we did as the M step. Is this clear? So where I can write once again, q of theta q star okay, is equal to expected value of Q star of Z of the likelihood P of xz given theta t. You take the so this, right? See, theta is not fixed. It is a variable and I'm trying to improve it. So that is what we did. So see here, right? So if you see here, we have not taken any particular value. We are actually trying to find which one maximizes it. So this is our M step. Is the M step clear to people? See, I told you this is going to be a difficult class and there is going to be a lot of significant things that we are going to talk about here. So I'm just trying to make this connection to everybody. So here, X is the thing that is known. Z is a thing that is not known. Okay, so depending upon Zij, this term will be there. Okay, so this is, so let us try to expand this a little bit for making it more clear. Okay, so there is going to be, when you try to do an expectation, there is going to be I equal to 1 to n, right? So this X actually has many terms, each of which is independent. So I equal to 1 to n. Then what you have? Then what you have is you have to look at each term j equal to 1 to n. Okay, you have to see what is the probability that Zij is equal to 1, right? See, that is what is the thing that I'm taking. Qz is a distribution over all the possible Zijs. And then what I am having is the, so this is log, okay? And the inner term will be P of xi, which is your input data. And this is Zi equal to j given theta. Okay, so this is a function of theta. And my MLE estimate will be that particular value of theta which maximizes this. Okay, and that if you apply for Gaussian mixture model over here, okay, you will get the exact same updates in the M step. Okay, so that is why I'm calling this as the M step. So I have no idea if people have followed this. So yeah. So are there any questions in the M step?
Sir, could you please repeat the last line again, like the expansion one?
So basically, whenever we take an expectation, we understand that we have to have summation over what are all the things that are random. Okay. So if you look at here in the original expression, Zij was a hard assignment. So we knew exactly which j is equal to 1. So when it is not a hard assignment, it's a soft assignment where Zij is replaced by gamma ij, which is the probability that Zij is equal to 1. Right, that is what is gamma ij. Okay, so basically we look at all the input points, we look at all possible cluster assignments for those input points. Instead of knowing Zij perfectly, I'm saying we are taking the probability of Zij that is given by Q star. So this Q star of Z actually tells what is the probability of Zij equal to 1 for all i's and for all j's. Okay, somehow we have got this Q star. Okay, so this is the soft assignment business I'm telling. And when you have this ln, this is, so here xi is the input and Zij, this is the assumption that xi is there and Zi is coming from j. Okay, because see, this is the probability this happens, but if it happens, what is the likelihood? So this is what it is, right? Does that make sense to whoever that was who asked me this?
Yes, sir, clear. Yes, sir. Got it.
Yeah, so now if you look at this, okay, and if you try to apply this for the Gaussian mixture model case, so this is gamma ij's in the Gaussian mixture model case, and this is your same pi ij, everything will be there. And when you try to maximize it, you will going to get all the M steps that we got here. So you will get these 3 updates. Okay, so now essentially what we have done is we have shown what we need to do in order to get the M step, and what remains to be done is how do you get E step. So far is it okay? Let me just check with people. Let me ask people directly here. So Aman, do you follow what's going on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how can I just have a quick poll? So can people just tell me if things are okay so far? I somehow don't feel like people have understood. So Devyani, do you have any questions?
So actually the double summation is not clear to me in the last part.
Okay, so you should have, please feel free to ask Devyani, there is no problem. Okay, so here, So expectation, whenever we are taking, right? So expectation is what? So let us try to remember that definition. So if I take expectation of a particular value of z, what am I doing? I'm taking summation over small z, okay, and then I say z pz. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This. So now I'm taking expectation over q star of z. Okay. So what is q star? So q star is telling me what is the probability that ith point comes to jth cluster. That is what is q star, right? So if you remember, so
Yes.
what was hard assignment here? So this is becoming now a probability, right? So this was if you sum over for a particular value of I, if you sum over all possible values of j, this will be 1. So similarly, if I fix an I and if I take sum over all possible values of j, instead of having zi, if I take probability, that also will sum to 1. Okay, so the double summation is the outer summation is for all the data points that is given to you, okay, which are xi's. The observations are xi's, okay, and you are taking every xi and you are saying, okay, if it came from cluster j, what would be the likelihood? If it came from cluster 2, what will be the probability, like that? So this is summation over j equal to not 1 to n, but 1 to k. Okay, so this is the probability that ith point came from the jth cluster. If it did come from the jth cluster, what is the probability that would be associated with it? Is that okay?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
So now this is an expression that you can easily write down. Okay, see, you know the probability model. Whenever you are doing a Gaussian mixture model, you know that the mixtures are of Gaussian. So you know this expression properly. Okay, but what you don't know is which of these jth, the ith point actually belongs to, that you don't know. But you do know if it belonged to this cluster, what would be the probability? If it belonged to this cluster, what is the probability? Okay, so in the M step that we did previously, okay, so this probability, we called it as gamma ij. Okay, and when you do the Gaussian mixture model, you'll get the same updates. So that is what I'm saying in this step. So we have to still see what is the E step. So Devyani, any other questions you have?
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay, how about others? Siddharth? Okay, Siddharth, I'm not able to hear you, just noise. So maybe I will ask somebody else. Siddharth, you can type in the chat if you have any questions. Rohit? Okay. Okay. So anyway, so yeah, so I don't know what to do. So since nobody's asking anything or saying something, I don't know which part, if you tell me there is any confusion, I can help. All right, so let us just do one more recap of the whole thing once again. See, what you have is, we see that wherever Zij is there, we are going towards gamma ij. There is a one-to-one similarity. That is what we began by observing. Then we saw that, see, now the whole point is I have to change this to a general case. So in order to really do it for a general case, we need to understand how do we get this? How do we get this in the general case? So for doing that, we looked at the full information model where we assume that we know Zij's. Okay, and then we wrote this whole business. And then we understand that there is if it is a hard assignment, there is a Zij with this probability, and this Zi is actually assumed to belong to jth cluster. So then if actually it is in jth cluster, Zij will be 1 and that term will come into play. So this is essentially the things that we have done already. Okay, and then when you take the argmax of this, you get exactly the kind of updates that you expect. Okay, so yeah, so these are all easy things, right? So in order to estimate what is the proportion of people in the jth population, you see how many people are there in the jth and how many samples you have overall. That is what it is. So these are all steps that you have already seen. Okay, so in order to estimate the cluster center here, you look at only the jth population and then you find out what is the center. So these are all steps that you have already seen. But by recapping this full information model, we actually understand what we have actually done. Okay, so we have actually done is like we have taken the expectation with respect to QZ. Okay, where QZ is a distribution over zij's. Okay, all possible zij's, and then we have taken the argmax. Okay, so that is what we have done. Since I don't hear from anybody, let me just finish the E step also. Okay, so yeah. So in the E step, what we have to now understand is how do we get Q star. Okay, so Q star of Z. Okay, how do we get this? That is the question. So Q star is actually given by, if you look at our expression here, okay, so let me write gamma ij of t plus 1 once again somewhere. So let me write it in a different color. See, gamma ij of t plus 1, what is it? So this is going to be pi j of t fj divided by summation pi r fr. This is what it was, right? R equal to 1 to k. So where have you seen this kind of an expression before? Yes, where have you seen this expression, this kind of an expression before? Can someone tell me, where have you seen this?
So in the Q calculation, in naive Bayes, I mean the Bayes.
Yes, yes. So we did this for posterior calculation. Okay, so we did this for posterior. Okay, so what is posterior? Posterior is probability that, okay, so what is that? Zi is equal to j given, okay, your x and your theta t. So this is what is the posterior here, okay. So why am I writing theta t? Because I am taking the previous estimate. So this is pi j of t, okay, and this fr has mu j of t and sigma j of t. Okay, so basically QZ is the posterior, assuming that these parameters are fixed. So let me write that. So in the E step, first thing that you do is you estimate the posterior. This is going to be said to be equal to posterior of Z condition on X and theta t, the previous estimate. Okay, this is the posterior. So what is that? What is that so difficult? Why is it so complicated? See, in K means what you did is you were forcing one of the things to be 1. Here, instead of doing that, I am saying just let us get a probabilistic estimate as to where it will lie. Okay, so that is what you are doing here. So that's why this is posterior step. So you're just, instead of getting a hard assignment, I'm asking what is the probability that particular point I, okay, is belonging to cluster J. So essentially this will actually give, even though I have not written here, so this is actually PZI equal to J given X theta T. Okay, this is for all J, and for all I will give you an estimate like this. Okay, and this, if you want, we call it as gamma ij also. This is that probability. So this is what you do in the E step. Okay, so why is it called as the E step? Because in the E step, you are actually, before do the E step, right? So this particular step that is here, that I have written here, this box, this can be computed only once you have E step. So this is actually assumed to be lying here. So this is an expectation with respect to QZ. So this is the E step. So this thing plus this thing together is the E step. So you cannot see, this is a function. It's a function of theta. You cannot really do it. Okay, but it is required in the next step. When you do a argmax, you need to differentiate this. Okay, so this is not actually computed. So this is not computed always. So some algorithms may compute it, but it's not computed always, but it is necessary for the M step. Okay, so anyway, this is a bit more complicated than your other algorithm. So let me just try to summarize once again the whole thing again. Okay, so basically what you had, let's see. So you had this Gaussian mixture model, the EM version. So this one we wrote by directly taking the log likelihood and then setting a particular parameter as gamma ij, and then we fixed that we get the next estimate of mu j, gamma j, and using the previous estimate in the E step, we do this. So this I think is clear for everybody. We observed that Zij and gamma j, there is a one-to-one correspondence. Okay, and we also observed that you can get the M step by taking the derivative of this step. Okay, and finally we said that q star of z, if you look at it, it is having the posterior form. That's why we say that qz is actually p of z given x theta. So why is it called as a E step? Because in the M step, we are taking argmax over some function which is like this, right? Which is a function of the previous q star. Okay, so this particular q of theta q star can be estimated only once you have the q star, and this step therefore is assumed to be computed in the E step. So E step is, what are all the E step things? First you do, based on your previous estimate of theta t, you find out what is q star of z, okay, which is the posterior. And then you compute this particular function of theta. This is a function of theta. Q star is a fixed entity here. Okay, so this is q theta of q star. Theta, as you vary theta, this value keeps changing. This is what you assume to have computed in the E step. In the M step, you take this q of theta q star that you estimated previously, and you take the argmax of that. And that will be your next estimate, theta t plus 1. So with this theta t plus 1, in the next loop, what you will do, you will again compute the posterior, which is called as q star of z for the next stage. And then you repeat it. Okay. So this is the general EM algorithm. Is it clear? So tomorrow what we will do is we will prove that why it works for any distribution. Okay. In general, this is a reliable algorithm. It will converge to a local optimum. So I will discuss all these convergence issues in the class tomorrow. Okay, so what I want you to do is go back and go through my lecture once again and come prepared with a list of questions for the next class. And that will help us to understand this even better. Okay, so if there are any immediate questions, I will take up those questions now.
So for this topic, this particular topic of today's lecture, could you recommend like which book this would be in?
So I mentioned yesterday, so you can read from chapter 9, Bishop.
Okay.
So actually, it's a little complicated in Bishops. The terminology is too complex. So is there like something that gives more intuition oriented?
So the intuition I should be supplying. So what you do is again go through my lecture, and if you are able to point out pinpointedly what is the issue, then we can look at it tomorrow. Okay.
So Thursday,
yeah. Yeah, I understand. See, this is a difficult topic. Okay, this topic is one of the few topics that in order to really use EM, you need to know EM. So everything else in machine learning, you can use some inbuilt solver and you keep doing it. I mean, that's not engineering. We really need to know the inner workings to really start using this algorithm. So this has applications in topic model, hidden Markov model, variational inference. All these topics are built on this. Okay, so I have not announced any project because all these projects require you to know EM. Okay, so that's the reason I have not announced any project so far. Okay, so once the convergence issues are all settled, you can look at some projects and then you will get better idea. So this is a difficult topic. It's a hard topic to follow, but yeah, you have to work on it a little bit. Okay, so let me just stop here. So if you have any questions, I will be hanging back and you can use that time to make it clear. Okay, otherwise.